Have you ever been in a situation where you are learning a song, maybe you see the chord G come up on like a chord and lyric chart or something, you go to play a G chord and you're kind of limited by that open chord, that bar chord, or a power chord there and a power chord there. You ever felt sort of boxed in by just those? Really, it's two options since the power chord is kind of born from the bar chord. You ever feel limited by that? There's got to be more G chords or different ways to play G chords around the guitar. There's a lot more fretboard real estate than just those three areas. And that's what we're going to talk about in this lesson today, moving beyond the bar chord. What's up, friend? My name is Matthew Dale. I'm here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more. And today we're going to be moving beyond bar chords while also using the bar chords that you probably already know as a framework for how to expand our knowledge outward. So let's really talk about what is involved in a bar chord. What are we actually playing? This is really important. Whenever you play anything on the guitar, whenever you learn anything, it's a really good idea to ask yourself, do you know all of the notes that you just played? Do you know where they come from out of the scale that you just played? It's a really good idea to have a good idea on that stuff. It's just going to help you in the long run. So what are we actually playing when I play this G major bar chord? Other than the obvious fact that I'm playing a G major bar chord. But here's what we typically do as guitar players. A lot of times when we learn a shape, we learn that as sort of a static entity. You know, G major bar chord can only exist here because that's the shape that I learned. Or maybe up there if you've gone through a couple of other shapes. We want to get out of shape mentality. We really want to take a look at the individual notes and together what those individual notes mean in this chord shape. So here's what we're going to do. Here's all of the notes that I'm playing in this G major bar chord. I'm starting with G. That's our root note. We probably already have a good idea of that since it's where we're going to base most of our bar chords. G, B flat, C, D, G, F, C, G. So that is already kind of a gimme. As we move on, we've got a G, a D, another G, a B, a D, and a G. Now, if you're following me there, you probably already noticed that we're actually only playing three unique note names, G, B, and D. We have three Gs, and we have two Ds, and one B for the 6 strings of this chord voicing. When we harmonize music in that way with those three notes, G, B, and D, that's what we call a triad. If we're taking a look at this through the lens of a G major scale, G, B, and D would be the root, the third, and the fifth. And that's what makes our most basic chord sound a triad. If triads are a little bit confusing for you, I have a really good resource. It's called my Essential Music Theory Cheat Sheet. You can download it and quickly learn all of your triads by following the link in the description box below. So is this same thing true with this G bar chord up here? We've got a G, a D, a G, a B, and then another D. So yes, although we have one less G, we have G there and there, we have D there and there, and then one B for that 5-string chord voicing up there. Still just a triad voicing. Now, typically when we think triads on the guitar, we might think little, small voicings like that, 3-note chord voicings. But the musical idea of a triad is still present in these bigger chord voicings. We're not adding anything unique that would make it anything other than a triad. So this gives us a really good framework to start splitting up these chord voicings, these chord shapes. If I start again back here, and I just go from the top strings on down, I can actually make several unique triad voicings using just the 3 notes, G, B, and D. If I play this on the E string, the B string, and the G string, I've got what's called a first inversion triad. I'm playing it with the 3rd as the lowest note in the voicing. And that's every single unique note in this chord. G, B, and D. I've also got this root position voicing on the string set B, G, and D, and I've also got this second inversion voicing from the G, D, and A strings. And then I got a power chord down there. So already I can actually learn 4 new chord shapes just by breaking this bar chord down. 1, 2, 3, and then power chord 4. Let's do that same thing up here. Here is a root position, G, B, D, a second inversion, D, G, B, and then another power chord like that. So 3 more chord shapes just by breaking this one down. Let's go ahead and just expand this out a little bit further by making a complete triad arpeggio. We need to fill in some gaps. So here's 1, 5, 3, 1, 5. I should be looking for a 3, but out of the chord shape, I have a root, a 1 again. So the third, it's the third note of our major scale. I can play that by going 2 whole steps up from the root. And now all of a sudden I have a much bigger triad arpeggio. Same thing up here. By adding that third, we got 5, 3, 1, and then 3, 1, 5, 1, 5. Looking for a 3, 2 whole steps up from the root. That one's a really good to practice because you have all of those consecutive notes on 1 fret, so you can either practice that with finger bridging like I did there with the 3rd finger, or you can kind of cross your fingers up in there as well. Now here's something really cool that happens when we just break down these 2 shapes. Let's do some quick math on triads and how they would appear on the guitar. If triads are 3-note voicings, we would then have 3 inversions of that chord voicing, root position, first inversion, second inversion. And then by the logical math, if I'm playing a triad on one specific string set, say E, B, and G in here, if I know that shape and from that chord, and if I know that shape from that chord, how many other triad shapes will we have on one string set? Well, if they're 3-note chords and there's 3 inversions, it's going to be 3 specific shapes on one particular string set. So I just have to fill in 1 chord shape to complete my octave of triad shapes and knowing them, getting to use them. There's this one, first inversion. I skip 1, need to find it, and then I have the root position again. Then I go back to first inversion. So if I have first inversion, if I have root position, we're looking for a second inversion. And here's the cool thing. You probably already know this chord. Instead of playing B, D, G, I'm going to play D, G, B. And this chord looks exactly like our D chord shape. And the D chord shape, as we play it and we learn it down here, is exactly a second inversion triad, 5, 1, 3. So if you know that you're looking for a D chord shape on this string set, now you have all of your triad shapes on that string set moving up. And that is a really, really, really good thing to know for getting comfortable all over the fretboard. Triads are the hidden mystery, the secret sauce to learning every concept on the fretboard all over the place. And anytime I have a student that asks me, how do I get more comfortable playing everywhere? The first thing that I ask him is, how well do you know your triads? Usually that answer is a not very well, so we start there. We work on our triads, they start playing more comfortably everywhere around the guitar, and life is good. So playing this exercise to get to know your triad shapes is really good. You might want to take this around this circle of 4s and play C after this, and then F, and then B flat, and then E flat, and so on and so forth. Just keep working your way around that circle of fourths. Now, you don't want to just stop there with this string set. You're also going to want to move over and do other string sets and learn those. And you're also going to want to do all of your other qualities of triad chords. That was major. We also have minor, diminished, and augmented. And then you do all that stuff, you're going to know your triads and the entire fretboard really, really well. If you want to dive further into this topic and learn how to learn all of those other shapes, also how to learn all of the other bar chord shapes, there's not just these. We actually have a lot more. That's only 2 out of the 5 main shapes. And if you want to take a look at how to make 7 chords and do extended harmonies on those chord shapes, then you're going to want to check out my extended lesson over on my Patreon channel. You can find the link to that in the description box below. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you found this lesson helpful. My name is Matthew Dale. I'm here to help you play better, sound great, and understand more, and I'll see you next time.